Okay, we're back. We're going to be making today roast beef with Yorkshire puddings, roast potatoes, and the best gravy using onions that you cook underneath the beef. So we're going to go through the ingredients. You need beef, you need garlic, onions, salt and pepper. I actually cover the beef in mustard because then when the juices come out of the beef, it actually goes into the onions and then creates a more refined gravy. So then potatoes you're going to need, carrots, parsnips. So start by peeling, cutting your potatoes up. I find the smaller you dare to cut your potatoes, the better, because then there's more surface area to get crispy. You also want to cut up roughly your parsnips, carrots and onion to go underneath the beef. Then start boiling some water and add your potatoes to them so you can soft boil your potatoes before roasting them. Then at the same time you can start your beef. So cover your beef in olive oil, salt, pepper. I actually decided to add garlic granules and onion granules. Not onion salt or garlic salt, that's something different. Granules. And then just rub the beef all around once you've added your salt and pepper and all your rub mix. And then what we're going to do is actually sear the beef in a very hot skillet, but I'm actually going to cook the beef in as well. This applies some heat and gets the cooking process going, so you're not just adding the beef to a cold tray, but also it allows you to add colour to the beef before you start cooking it, so it sort of creates a sear, which is good because then just add some caramelization before having to cook it. Then once you've cooked it on each side on a very high heat, you don't really want to cook the inside of the meat at this point, you just want to create a sear on the outside. We're going to move the beef over and then we're going to add the onions, carrots and parsnips to the skillet in order to create a base for what you're going to put your beef on. So this is going to elevate the beef and allow the heat from the oven to cook all around the beef, but also it's going to roast the carrots and parsnips underneath, and it's also going to allow the onions that you're cooking underneath to be the base of your gravy later on. So it's doing a lot of things all at once. You want to put that in the oven at about 180 to 200 degrees Celsius for about an hour for a piece of meat that size. Then at the same time you've done that, your potatoes have been boiling, so you want to take them out. You want to fluff them up a bit so they get extra crispy. And then what we did was put olive oil, butter and garlic in the oven to cook, to melt down. So then when you add your potatoes, the potatoes start cooking in the pan and you can actually move the potatoes around in the butter in order to create a glaze for when the potatoes cook, they're going to get really crispy. Now for the Yorkshire puddings, you're going to need 3 eggs, about 100 ml of milk and about 6 ounces of flour. So you want to start by measuring out the flour. The milk is sort of a rough guide. You just want to sort of see the consistency of the batter that you're creating. See, I just had a little bit of milk. You want to start by adding a little bit of milk at a time, not all the milk all at once, because you don't want any lumps in your batter, and you just keep adding a little bit of milk at a time until you create this sort of thick, I would say that was like a single cream type consistency. You want to cover the edge of a spoon, as some people do. Then you want to put vegetable oil in a tray, in a Yorkshire pudding tray. You want to cook that at a really, really high heat, about 220, until the oil is roaring hot before adding your batter like that. Then put the Yorkshire puddings back in the oven. Don't touch your Yorkshire puddings for whatever you do for about 20 minutes until they've risen, because if you open the oven meanwhile, they're just going to shrink down. So there, those have been out of the oven. Your potatoes have been in the oven for about an hour. This has been in an oven for about an hour. It's all about timing with a roast meal. You then want to leave your beef to rest for about 20 minutes afterwards at least. And see how I've put the beef in a bowl, because then when you're making the gravy now, by getting the onions that you're cooking underneath the beef, you add a spoonful of flour to it to thicken up the mix. You then add a stock cube. I'm using a potato press in order to just get all the flavour out of the onions. And then later on in the cooking process, the beef juices that we just saw in a bowl, you can add to the gravy later on just for extra flavour. So what I'm doing is, as you can see, I added water to the onions and the stock and the flour, and then sieve that into a hob to reduce down for another 20 minutes, for about as long as the beef is resting. And then that's it. We did it. We got through it. Hopefully that's relatively easy to follow. These are the pictures on my Instagram channel @MeatyEats. Check that out. I'm going to try and make less YouTube videos, so probably try and make one a week, because I'm trying to make more, and I just want to make more YouTube videos with higher quality. So I'm going to reduce the number of videos I make, but hopefully they're going to be higher quality. And I can put a little bit more effort in because I'm struggling to churn out more than one video a week. So if you like this, subscribe. Thank you.